And hi, everyone. We are very happy to be with you in Agile by Example 2020. My name is Ender, and I'm a development manager working for SimCorp.
My name is Christian, and I'm a Scrum Master also working for SimCorp. Today, as you can see, we're not bringing any PowerPoint. We are only bringing drawings and sketchnoting. So we're going to try to do sketchnoting live as we go along, and afterwards you will have your own sketchnotes.
We are very excited to share our experience in recruiting and onboarding for Agile teams. Let's start with the why. Over to you, Christian.
Ding! You got a mail. Breakfast meeting for a new employee. Who? What? Why? What's going on? Maybe you try this situation one or more time in your career. Suddenly, a new team member is introduced into your team. You don't know why. Classical recruiting and onboarding often disregards the team's knowledge. They come with a one-size-fits-all onboarding plan if you're lucky. If you're unlucky, you might not get an onboarding plan at all. When SimCorp started its Agile journey from more than 4 years ago, we saw different examples. We saw managers who took a well-performing team and kept adding more and more people to this team. They thought that if they kept adding more and more people to this team, they will see the velocity increase. But what in reality happened was the velocity went down and the team disintegrated into more or less chaos. We have seen managers who has been close to doing wrong hiring simply because they did not know what the team needed. We have seen perfect hires being ruined by onboarding plans which did not fit at all. They were riches, they were not fitting at all the reality what the person was going to work with. Therefore, we concluded that classic recruiting and onboarding has failed. In the world we live in today, the textbook says that we should have stable teams, but teams are becoming more and more unstable. People today are changing job on a much more regular basis. It is not uncommon that people change job. They go from place to place. That means that stable teams is not really longer as easy to maintain. It also means that recruiting and onboarding need to be an essential part of what the Agile team is doing. When we looked at SimCorp and we saw how we are doing recruiting and onboarding, we concluded we simply need a new approach to how we do this. Over to you, Ender. Ender, you're muted.
Thank you, and sorry. Before diving into the topic, let me shortly describe the setup we have. In our organization, we work with Scrum teams that include a Scrum Master, a Product Owner, and a development team as defined in Scrum Guide. All members of the Scrum team have the same manager. The manager is not a traditional manager and does not define the work, does not assign the work, nor tell people what to do. For our managers, having healthy and happy teams is the priority, and it cannot be jeopardized by the delivery deadlines or short-term priorities. The manager is an enabler and a gardener for the team, and activities such as recruiting and onboarding are part of the areas where the manager can help the team. Now, you may well have different setups, and the mandate of recruitment and onboarding could be placed differently. For now, let's continue with our story using the setup I just described. Now, let us present our approach ordered as before, during, and after recruitment. Before recruitment, we maintain continuous dialogue on the needs and the preferences. But how do we do that? Agile teams and their managers have an ongoing dialogue on teams' well-being and capabilities, as opposed to old habits of prioritizing highest paid person's opinion, also known as HIPPO, for example, a super senior developer or a very experienced product owner or the manager herself. We create a safe environment and make sure to listen all the voices. One of the practices I use is what I call team one-on-ones, which resemble individual one-on-ones, so the focus is on the team's collective needs and growth. This provides a healthy continuous dialogue and alignment. Learnings and outcomes of team one-on-ones are the points that are not covered in Agile ceremonies, such as retrospectives. Yet, these points are still relevant to improving the team. For example, needs for certain skills, possible improvements in the team composition, or even finding a better fit for the team in the big organization. The outcome of the team one-on-ones are valuable insights for recruitments and training investments. Obviously, I also interface upper management and maintain similar communication with stakeholders in terms of defining the needs based on the product roadmap and the company strategy. Thus, the traditional reflex of quickly replacing a leaving team member or ramping up when suddenly client requests surge is replaced by an ongoing dialogue with all the stakeholders, including upper management and the Agile teams. Another practice I use before recruitments is what I call team preferences. After we identify the needs and get a green light to recruit, the next step is profiling the right candidate. Assuming that the candidate will be part of a certain team, I perform a workshop with that Agile team, which I call Team Preferences Workshop. The goal is to identify the details in terms of the needed profile and tailor the recruitment process based on the team's preferences. A practical approach we use is to collect all the sought-after qualities and then talk about them and prioritize. As every team is different, not only in terms of needs, but also preferences, every time I run such a workshop, I get valuable insights that I use in the recruitment process, especially in screening the applications and interviewing the candidates. An often overlooked part of recruitment is the preparation of the job announcement. Reusing old job announcements and not paying attention to drafting a good text are examples of the pitfalls. In our practice, the manager prepares the job ad and then asks for feedback from the team and the stakeholders, or even better, tries to do mob writing with the team such that the job ad is created together. Beware of the fact that your good intention to accommodate different views can result in really long and detailed job ads, which is simply not ideal. According to LinkedIn Gender Insights Report 2019, women feel they need to meet 100% of the criteria, while men usually apply after meeting only about 60%. It's not only about gender diversity, but it's also about the understanding of the fact that people can be trained for skills. Today, skills and past achievements matter less than the potential to unlearn and learn new skills and adapt to new situations. Do you know how I get the best feedback about the job ad? I get the best feedback by asking the applicants at the end of an interview round. In my experience, the feedback from especially the team members and the applicants make a huge difference in reaching the right profiles and finding a better fit. We encourage all team members to co-own the recruitment in the sense that they also activate their network and actively look for their next colleague. Leaving recruitment to only managers and HR's efforts and simply relying on job ads prolong the process and risk not reaching strong candidates and missing a good fit with the team. And now we can look at what happens during recruitment. Now we have needs from the team one-on-ones and dialogue with all stakeholders. We have defined team preferences, we have converged into a good job ad, and all team members utilize their network to find their new colleague. We are collecting applications and also proactively approaching possible candidates. Using the organization's needs and preferences, managers screen the applications and identify the candidates to be invited to interviews. At this stage, we have to be aware of the fact that human brain has some limitations, known as cognitive bias. For example, I might be tempted to prioritize a candidate that have graduated from the same school like I did. Or my memory can betray me, making me recall a mediocre interview as a good one. Also, I might not have covered all the topics I needed to verify, which would lead to a misjudgment. Recruitment Canvas is an approach I learned at Agile 2019 conference from Pavel Dabritsky. This is a simple approach that is applying the learnings from Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow. Using a recruitment canvas where all the candidates will be evaluated based on the same criteria and given a numeric score on each criterion helps avoiding intuitions and biases, no matter how subjective the score is. Our experience shows that our memory and bias can easily trick us, and having a recruitment canvas did surface such situations. For example, when there are multiple interviewers or multiple interview rounds, we compare our findings with other interviewers, which would often trigger healthy discussions and uncover some points. The manager takes the first round of interviews where the results of the tools, such as team preferences and recruitment canvas, will be utilized along the way. After the first round, the most promising candidates are invited to the second round, which is run by the team. We call it the team interview. Obviously, this is a significant change if the only experience your team members have is from their own interview when they joined the company. We have found out that having a preparation workshop where the interviewer group would go through their interview strategy is beneficial. For the teams which never tried to do interviews, the manager would facilitate and coach this workshop. When running interviews, we have tried different strategies. For example, time sharing, where every interviewer has a fixed amount of time to ask questions. Also, topic sharing, where every interviewer covers a different area. Also, picking from a list of questions that is agreed upfront in a preparation workshop. We did pair programming and pair testing with candidates. We even did mob programming with the candidates. Regardless of the strategy, we clearly communicate the candidate the format and, most importantly, encourage a two-way dialogue where the candidate also asks all questions about the way the team works. Our experience shows that absence of a recruitment manager and giving full ownership to the team results in better decisions and a more satisfying candidate experience. The manager does not continue with a candidate that is not found eligible by the Agile team. This approach ensured a higher degree of trust between managers and teams. Typically, there is a third round for the top candidates where more stakeholders are involved, and they may consider the fit with company values and focus on alignment with the rest of the organization. Finally, the manager will ask the team to express preference on the candidates that passed all the interviews. Often teams easily converge on which candidate to choose. The manager takes over after that and makes the job offer. Inspired by lean and flow concepts and forced by the competitive job market and the scarcity of talent, we use recruitment metrics. We define lead time as the time passed between recruitment started and ended, measured in days. Similarly, we define cycle time per measured activity. For example, the time between a candidate is contacted and answered with a rejection or a job offer could be a cycle time. We also use first-year attrition as a metric to indicate the success of the recruitment and number of applications to indicate the success of job ad preparation and the channels networks used. A manager might have personal objectives and key results related to the recruitment, and this will significantly help in improving the results that would affect the whole organization's performance. Examples of measurable key results that I actually use myself are: I recruit within 30 days of job announcement, and my retention rate is lower than 7%. One concrete lesson we learned from our previous mistakes is that we cannot measure the recruitment success alone. We should also look at the retention. If you are able to recruit a lot of people in very short time, but so many of those people leave within the first year, you cannot assume that you are the champ in recruitment. That is why having both types of metrics would give a more accurate picture. And this concludes the recruitment phase. Now I give the word to Christian.
So now you have managed to find the perfect candidate, and you're actually also been able to recruit the person. Now we come to the part after recruitment. We all know that starting a new job is full of emotions, fear, happiness, joy. And an important thing in starting a new job is if you have a really good onboarding plan, it will just mean that you start better off, you hit the ground running. When we looked at SimCorp, when we went Agile, we found out that our onboarding concept was not really good. We had a one-size-fit-all onboarding plan. Sometimes we didn't even have an onboarding plan. So a group of managers went together and they created a whole new concept. The concept consists of a deck of cards. Each card here represents an onboarding activity. It could be my first day at SimCorp, becoming part of the team, learning something about our product. The most important card in this deck is the blank ones, the one that the team fills out together with the newcomer. With the card deck came a whole new concept. The concept was a shared responsibility between the manager, the newcomer, the team, the scrum master, and most important, the team knows the best. Together with the newcomer, the team will sit and make a unique onboarding plan. They will look at what is needed to become a part of this team. The team knows what they're doing in their everyday and they know what is needed. The newcomer knows his strengths, and together they can form and create a perfect onboarding plan. The newcomer owns this plan. The team is responsible for coaching and supporting. What we find is one thing is to make a plan, another one is to execute it. Therefore, we found that it was giving a huge benefit to add these onboarding activity to our daily stand-up. So we would talk about it just like we did other user stories, make sure that we see a progress. We also soon realized that this concept worked really well for roles as developers and testers or QA analysts, but it worked less well for roles as Scrum Masters. Therefore, a group of Scrum Masters went together and created another card deck, but an onboarding tree. Each node here is an important activity, and with it even more described down in the leaf. Again, a newcomer of a Scrum Master would go together with the other Scrum Masters he's going to work together with, and together they will form this plan, which makes sure that he gets the optimal start possible. In this new concept, we also started to discuss who is actually a newcomer. Is a newcomer only a person coming from the outside? Our conclusion was no. Anybody joining the team is a newcomer. Even if you've been 10 years in the company, you're joining a unique team. Therefore, you need an onboarding plan. The onboarding plan would be very different depending if you're coming new to the company or if you've been here many years, but you will get an onboarding plan which ensures you to get part of the team and into the team's work as fast as possible.
You can be a Scrum Master or a manager or a concerned team member that's dealing with your team's dysfunctions. Have you ever wondered that instead of all the efforts in improving the teamwork, resolving conflicts, and handling misfits, you could have made much better choices in recruitment and performed a much better onboarding? And you could have made better use of the collective knowledge and insights already exist in your teams. You could have invested a little bit of your team's time, which could save your current efforts. We are often asked whether the way recruiting and onboarding is a good use of an agile team's time. In our experience, spanning last 3 years, even though teams feel they invested precious work time into the hiring process, they at the same time expressed that it was a good investment with decent returns. Newcomers are in general very happy with the onboarding plans that they co-created and they executed, simply the onboarding plans that they owned.
Is this approach for everyone? Frankly speaking, no. There are team members who don't feel they have the qualification or the wish or the skills to be part of recruitment, and you need to accept that. Our mantra in this one has always been, this is a process which you cannot force on the team. All participants need to be ready, and by all participants, we both means the team, but also the managers. The managers needs to be able and willing to give away part of their responsibility. So if you feel that you are a part where your team and your organization is ready for this, we will strongly recommend to try it out.
And thank you very much for listening. And we are looking forward to hearing your questions.
Thank you very much, guys. I want to start off by saying what a great presentation and what a great way to convey an idea. I think this was so creative on your side. So congratulations for this on my part. I myself find it that I best learn when at the same time when I hear the idea, someone draws it at the same, it's not a presentation that it's kind of the whole picture is prepared, but it's being drawn at the same time. So for me, you totally nailed it.
Thank you very much.
I really love your presentation. We had a question from the audience that you already answered, and also people are saying what a great presentation in the audience as well. But the question was regarding the cards. So maybe you can just say one more time, what were the cards that you were using for the onboarding?
The onboarding card here, this is, I'll just move the camera slightly up so you can see a little bit more. So this is how they were created was that some managers got together with all the onboarding plans they had been using during the years. And then they looked through these onboarding plans, and from those plans, they extracted the best activities. Those activities were then formulated into a card, and they were trying to make them quite generic. Some of them you can see are very technical, like BDD, for example. Other are much softer, like how do you manage time. But in the end, they created quite a lot of cards. But as we said, the thing they stretch a lot in this concept is that this is the blank one. That is the one which you fill out as a team. So this is really the key point is that it's...
Christian, sorry, maybe you can lift the cards because they only see your face.
Yeah, lift the cards up as I think the camera is on you right now and not on your desk. So if you can lift it up to your face.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was still sharing the screen. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
So this is the card I was talking about. This is part of the other, like time management, BDD. So we have a lot of cards. In total, I think we have like 60 activities written in these cards. And they are coming from a previous onboarding plan, which has been executed in SimCorp.
Great. Yeah, really, really neat idea. And I think cards have been used, or I've seen them used in different setups, maybe for like discovery processes or for ideation processes to kind of allow people to do better brainstorming sessions. This is really interesting way of using them as well. Okay, another question from the audience. Aspects, elements of onboarding in the case when an employee only changes the team. So I suppose this is a question not regarding bringing a new person to the company, but changing between the teams.
So, Inder, do you want to?
Yeah, I can quickly answer. So we follow the basic principle, the basic process, the same. But it takes less time, and then we produce much less onboarding items. So in principle, we follow the same.
And you can say concretely, for example, if you're adding a new developer to a team, you might say that the onboarding card could be something like, explain this piece of the architecture. Why was this decision made? Where for a newcomer, you might not in the beginning, the first month goes into those details.
Okay, thank you very much for this. The next question. Is the recruitment process put into teams' sprint backlog? I guess that relates to the fact that they're using some of their time in the recruitment.
I think that's a great question. I'm not sure we are doing that already, but in terms of transparency and then making clear who is working on what, I think that's a super good idea. We make sure that the onboarding process is very clear on the team sprint backlog, but I think it can also be done for the recruitment part. Thank you.
Yeah, I think what we concretely did in the teams I've been working with was just lowering our capacity slightly.
Okay, I will ask the next question, which is a twofold, but I'll only show one part here in the for the chat. If the team is making recruitment decisions, would there be a problem with diversity in the recruitment? And the second part of that question is HR knows to pay attention to it, but maybe developers would not take this into consideration, consciously.
Super good question. I already touched 2 examples of this. One example is if you leave the job ad to the team, they come up with a super long job ad with all the skills needed. So there should be somebody, which could be development manager or the scrum master, who tells the team that it's not the way to go. Another thing is, again, if you leave the whole decision to only the team, again, they would try to find the best fit, but they will be missing parts that would make them stronger in the long run, which is like diversity. So therefore, it's not just the team who makes the recruitment decisions. The team does it together with the manager, and the manager is well aware of these pitfalls and the HR perspective, diversity perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. We're approaching to the end of this session, but I hope we can answer maybe one more question. How candidates react to pair programming or mob programming being part of the recruitment?
I think some candidates, of course, get a little bit stressed when you ask them. What we normally did was we had given them a home assignment. So they had a home assignment which they have prepared. Then we would have the code live, and then we from that one will take the pair programming, meaning that it will not be totally blank for them. It will be their own code, and then we will sit and enhance it together with them. So in general, I think some candidate got stressed. Most of the candidate actually saw it as an advantage because it also gives them an opportunity to actually show off their skills.
Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure having you at ABBA this year. As there are so many questions, and unfortunately we didn't even get to answer all the questions, feel free for the guys out there in the public to continue the discussion with Ender and Christian on a dedicated Slack channel that I will post in the chat in just a minute. And please let us know what you think about their talk via the survey that will also be linked in the chat. Thank you very much, guys.